What's up, everybody? It's Greg Birch with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life and in your business through coaching on sales, leadership, mindset, marketing, everything under the sun when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And we bring on guest speakers. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming Mr. Matt Shoup. Did I pronounce that right?
Shoup. That's okay.
Shoup.
Shoup sounds cool.
Oh, man.
Sounds cool. We can go with Shoup. We can sing the Shoup
song. Matt, how you doing, brother?
I'm really good. How are you doing? It's Monday afternoon, and glad to be here with you and everybody.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and share some wisdom, your experiences, and hopefully lay some truth down to the people that are listening, to the audience. So,
love it.
For those of you that don't know Matt, let me go ahead and introduce him. So Matt was laid off from a corporate baking job he despised in March of 2005. And Matt quickly established M&E Painting with the last $100 that he had, despite being nearly $200,000 in debt. M&E Painting expanded quickly and has generated over $30 million in revenue since 2005. Matt and M&E Painting have won dozens of business awards at the local, state, national, and international levels. M&E Painting was named one of the United States' top small workplaces by Inc. magazine and Winning Workplaces in 2011, one of Colorado's top 250 private companies by Colorado Biz magazine in 2010, and received the Northern Colorado Better Business Bureau Torch Award for business ethics in 2017. Matt was named one of Colorado Biz Magazine's top 5 most influential young professionals in 2010, one of Northern Colorado Business Report's 40 under 40 top business leaders in 2013, and received the Colorado State University Gold Award for alumni of the last decade in 2012. Matt's work has appeared in magazines such as Inc., Entrepreneur, BBC, Fox Small Business, Huffington Post, U.S. News and World Report, and EO Overdrive. Matt has founded and grown 6 successful businesses from the ground up. All of these businesses are led by extraordinary individuals. M&E Painting, M&E Roofing Solutions, Rory?
Rai.
Makers of the Pirate Patch Drywall Repair Tool, Northern Colorado Jiu-Jitsu, M&E Real Estate Ventures, and MattShoup.com are among these businesses. Along the way, Matt earned his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, traveled the world, raised an amazing family, perfected the art of cooking Spanish paella, that sounds delish, and poured into the lives of countless entrepreneurs and small business leaders, all while enjoying countless cups of Spanish coffee at Cafe Sevilla. That is awesome. I love that. That is fantastic. I'm a big cook. Man. I love to cook. Like
I love it too. Yeah, it's so much fun. You put your own spin on it, and it brings out a lot of who you are through cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something for me that's very relaxing. It's just it works on so many levels for me. I just kind of lose myself into it. I feel almost like it's an art, like an art form.
Yeah.
And I can just like almost clear my mind. It's the one thing that I can do, that I can like clear my mind and just go. But then also there's something that's like intrinsically human about breaking bread with another person or people. Right.
I love that part of it. Like I love the cooking. I love the preparing. And then it's just like, who's around the table. You bring it out to the table and then just partake. And it's awesome.
Yeah. And then I love cooking food. Like I have a few homemade recipes. I've been cooking since I was young. And so I started learning how to cook things from scratch. Like I have a from scratch Alfredo that people love, that people are like, dude, that's the best Alfredo I've ever had. And I'm like, yeah, it is. So, but seeing them when they enjoy that and they're like, dude, this is so good. It's just, I'm a pleaser. Like I like to help and serve others and like, and have them enjoy, a meal or something that I've provided them, some service or something like that. So, dude, I love cooking. So
awesome, man. We could have a whole show about Spanish food and cooking and all of that.
I know. I love it. So Matt, you were laid off, $200,000 in debt.
Yep.
And now you've grown 6 successful businesses from the ground up.
Yeah.
That is quite the journey. That's quite the journey. Let's start where it began. You got laid off and you're probably at that point like, man, what the hell do I do?
Yeah. That was a long car ride home from that bank to my house, and backing up about 10 years before that. So as a child, I grew up in northern New Jersey till I was 10. Didn't really fit in at school. I was kind of the goofy bucktooth, kid, very easy target, got bullied a lot, and then ran around with kids that got in a lot of trouble. So didn't really find my place, I'd say, in life until we moved to Colorado. And I asked my parents for a couple $100 for a boombox, right? The big CD playing, 12 D battery, carry it on the shoulder boombox. And they're like, no, we're not going to give you any money. Figure out a way to make it on your own. So I said, cool, I'm going to go knock on doors, take your lawnmower, cut grass. And when I did that, it connected something in my brain, in my body, and in just my being. I don't know how to explain it. Like that was what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
Marketing, sales. I've got a goal. I set a goal, and it really gave me some identity, some purpose, some confidence, and some security, right? Which is what everybody looks for, and you'll find it in something. So that was my growing up. I was like the business kid. I'd hustle candy out of the locker, get suspended from school, still got into trouble. So yeah, I graduate high school, go to college, and I worked 4 years with a college painting company. And I had a little bit of experience over 4 years learning how to run paint crews and market and sell. And I didn't think I'd stay in the business. So I made a bunch of money in college, obviously spent way more than I made, had zero direction or education in financial management, and found myself at a banking job wearing a suit and tie. Definitely not like we're dressed today, just being told what to do, make phone calls, do what I say, sit down, shut up. And yeah, I was plotting my escape, and that just came a little bit quicker because the new bank president came in one day, fired me, man. And he said, put all your shit in a box, get out, you're fired. And yeah, I'm standing outside of a bank in Windsor, Colorado, 22, almost 23 years old. And I've got to go home to my over leveraged house in my, making big payments car, and tell my wife what happened. And that was the beginning of it, man. I literally had $100 to spare. That was the minimum that you could open a bank account with for a business. And that's how the business started.
Wow. That is crazy. So you you get home, honey, honey, this is what what's happening. What was her reaction? And
It-
when you're like, "Hey,
yes.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
start my own business." What was her support, lack of support? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, so many things, man. So she knew I hated the job. She
Yeah.
knew I was going to be a business guy. I remember pre-marriage counseling. What's the vision? Hey, we're running a business together one day. So I knew that was in the cards. Didn't call her first. Didn't let her know right away. I called some painters that I had worked with in college painting, because for me, it's the typical male. I need an answer. I need to know something happens. Well, what do you do? Right? That's just how I'm wired. So
Problem
I got
solving.
home. Yeah, I got home, and it's the typical, "Honey, I'm home." She goes, "Are you home for lunch break?" I go, "Yeah, it's gonna be a really long lunch. It's like a permanent lunch," because it was 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
and I'm never home at 1 o'clock. And I just said, "Yeah, this guy fired me," and I, kind of blew some steam about that. And she said, "What are you gonna do about it?" And I said, "We've got, 5, 6 hours of daylight. We're gonna go do this painting thing." And I really thought it would just hold me over for the year, or until I found out, because I always say this, like, painting's not a sexy business. I was very concerned with the optics and what other people thought and how they would perceive me about whatever kind of business I'm in.
Mhm.
I thought the mortgage business was really sexy, right? I use that word, and it just wasn't. Looks one way from the outside, and I said, "Hey, we're gonna go do the painting thing." 100% supportive.
That's awesome.
She was working a part-time job, and I kind the way we kind of broke it down is, hey, the money that I'm making, even though it's us and it's we, was, hey, I've got to cover the mortgage and the big bills and everything like that. I needed like 3 grand in 30 days. So it was very short-sighted, month by month, just go out and make it happen and follow the steps that I knew I could follow to generate leads and close business. So
And so how long did it take you to start scaling that and realizing that this is a legitimate, like, this is gonna be the business?
it was funny. So when the bank guy fired me, the two things I remember him saying was, "Put all your shit in a box." It was very condescending, and he said, "Maybe you should go do that painting thing." It was kind of like it was a dare. He was very, very cocky, very arrogant about it, like he's better than me. So I had a little bit of that going, but I said, I'm not going to stay in this forever. But I mean, literally, that 30 days we needed to clear 3 grand. We made a lot more than 3 grand, and I'm like, well, let's do another 30 days.
Uh-huh.
Now we're halfway through the year. Let's shoot for a 500,000 in top line. And that's what we did our first year. And when I got to the end of the year and was looking at the P&L, I'm like, why would you not want to run a painting business? Like, this was very lucrative. I made more money in 9 months than I did the last 4 years at CSU with the college painters.
Mhm.
So yeah, I go, let's do this. Like, let's grow it, let's scale it, let's build it. And
Mhm.
grow, scale, and build are three totally different things that we can talk about. But I went all in at that point.
Well, let's break down the grow scale build.
Yeah, so, growing, and I think we use the words interchangeably, right? So you have growth is you as the entrepreneur, you're working harder, you're working more, you're putting more on your plate, and it's you, and it's all about you, and you are the bottleneck, you are the responsibility for that growth,
Yep,
more leads, more sales, more production.
yep.
And I think with your listeners in the insurance business, it's like, hey, are you just trying to work more, work longer to, grow the business? Scaling is when you really start to bring people in. And I had people at the time that I was growing, but I wasn't scaling. Scaling is when you really give somebody an opportunity, a responsibility, you delegate tasks to them, and then you let them go out and do it, and you stop micromanaging them. I know for me, I'm a control freak. I'm a type A entrepreneurial, hard driving guy, and I couldn't figure that out for a really long time. So not only now am I doing my sales, but I've got this sales team, or so I think, and I'm micromanaging the hell out of them,
Mhm.
wondering why I'm so burned out and why they can't figure it out. So there's a big difference. I heard a great analogy from an author, Mike McCallowicks. He says, entrepreneurs, we have that superhero syndrome where we can swoop in, fly in, fix the problem, close the deal, and yay, we're the hero. We celebrate, but we also leave a lot of wreckage and carnage in our path. And it's
That's a
very
that's a good.
demoralizing. Yeah.
I
I
like
stole that from Mike, dude. That's all Mike all day.
that's a man. That's actually making me reevaluate some things.
But where do we swoop in?
Yeah.
Right? Because yeah, Gary V, triple down on what you're good at, marketing, sales. Nobody can do it better than me. So I'm going to swoop in and I'm going to train. You didn't train that sales guy. You just took the deal from him and closed it for him. Didn't teach him or her anything. And then you're celebrating together when you guys kind of just took a step back in the growth of that person. And it really does leave a kind of a trail of negative things that need to be worked on in the business. So for me, when I was really able to get out of my own way and give people a role, give them some rope, give them the space to execute in, and then also let them fail and sit there and watch it and then regroup with them after the failure. And don't so much celebrate the failure, but celebrate that they did it on their own.
Mhm.
And they didn't close the deal, they didn't get the answer right, but they did it, they took that accountability, and then you can come back and do the training on it. But that's when scaling really happens. And then I talk about building is when you really start focusing on pouring into the people, and you're not only growing and scaling your revenues and your profits, but you're building and you're pouring into the lives of other people. And that's when you really can establish some longevity, some legacy with your business and organization. I didn't realize for a long time that people are not cogs in a wheel of a business machine. They are humans with lives and stories and families, and we get the honor of contributing to that, and we expect something out of them, right? In return, it's a two-way street. But I didn't realize that for a long time, and when I did, it's like, man, like, what a responsibility we have in this space that we call business.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. And it sounds like the way that you're explaining it is almost like a three-tiered system. Focus on yourself, grow yourself,
Yep.
focus on scaling, and start
Mhm.
allowing other people responsibility to scale, and you grow them and allow them to take that responsibility,
Yes.
take ownership, and then
Mhm.
build and start to build people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would add too, at that basic level of just growing, is you have to get good at the task at hand. Like, you need some metrics to be able to pass on to somebody. And
Yeah.
then you've got to train and release yourself. That's that scale level. And then the build level is just when you just get to invest in them. Like, they've figured out the semantics, the X's and O's, all of the business moves that need to happen. And then it's like, hey, tell me more about your story. Like, how can we make your life not just better, but phenomenal in the next 3 years? Like, what does that look like? Let's work on that. Let's get there. I've got a team member. He came to work with us, and he really wanted to and needed to lose weight. We have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. So I'm like, dude, you get to train. Everybody here gets to train for free. So does their family. He lost 100 pounds. Stuff like that. Another guy fresh out of college, he's working on the real estate side of things. I'm trying to find him a wife, young, single, handsome. I'll shout him out here. You know, any single about 26, 30-year-old ladies, let me know. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to find, him a spouse and build him up in the real estate business.
Yeah.
Totally different than what my other team member was looking to do. So
Yeah.
it's fun, man. It's just a fun journey every day.
That's it. And I think that's when you become an entrepreneur and you really get into the weeds, like the thick of it on a daily day. It really is. Every day is a different journey. And it's really, and
Yeah.
it can be a lot of fun. It can also be a lot of challenges. It can also
Oh
be
yeah.
a lot of mistakes, you know, and that's where I think people, they have to kind of get over that hump of that initial, whenever they're, which it sounds like you found that you got over that very quickly, right? Because you already had a little bit of experience as a kid of like, hey, I
Yeah,
know.
I tell people I had, JV, JV sports, right? I go, I did 4 years of the college painting. It's not like I didn't know how to go out and sell and land leads and close deals. I mean, I wasn't green to that regard. I had just never done it without anybody else there to support me at that point, from a company structure standpoint. It was just out on my own. So yeah.
So most people don't have that, luxury when they start out
Hmm.
as an entrepreneur. They're like, I don't even know where to start, or like, hey, I'm starting this
Yeah.
opportunity, like, and they're starting from ground zero, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when they get past that first initial hump where
Hmm.
they find some success, they make some money, and they're like, I can do that again. Like the belief
Hmm.
starts to come in, it starts to kick in, and like, I can do it again, and I can repeat this, and this is
Hmm.
doable. That's where the magic starts to happen. That's where you start to have every day is
Yeah.
a different day. That's where you start to realize as an entrepreneur that you can have a very fulfilling and challenging life.
Yes, and you just said something that made me think of another analogy, right? Is you all know who Bon Jovi is. They're
Yeah,
freaking rock stars, right? They know it, you know it, the world knows it, and they have the record sales to prove it.
yeah.
When they were playing at that dive bar in New Jersey, I don't know if this would have been 70s or 80s, but before anybody knew who they were, before they had the record sales, did they know they were rock stars at that point?
I mean, I would say they probably did. Like that was they were like, yes, we're gonna do
Yes.
this. Like they had the belief.
So if you look at neurolinguistic programming or neuropsychology is do you need the evidence? And I see this so many times with new business owners. Well, I didn't close that deal yet, so I'm not confident to believe in myself that I can close the deal. I'm like, so then you need the record sales before the belief. You need the evidence and proof of something before you believe in yourself. When I see those people that go out and they just crush it, they are just, I wouldn't even call it a naive confidence, but they just know. They know they're going to go out. They know they're going to succeed.
Mm,
I work in the real estate business. I'm sure the insurance business is very similar, right? Plan to make no money for 2 years, build the pipe, build trust, build confidence and relationships with people, and be a resource. And then they come to you when they're ready. But don't get too tied up in the results of the actions right away. Just do the actions.
mm,
And you're going to get a million more no's than yeses. And just be excited for those. Go get as many no's as you can because ratios will start to appear, right?
yeah,
In any industry. So that just made me think of that is don't wait to be selling the million records to then believe in yourself.
yeah.
Because
No,
I've, 'cause I've been I've been
you're
there.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you, from my experience when I got into insurance, what I did was I looked around the room. I never sold insurance for my life, but I was at the interview to start, get my license and go with this company and park my license there. And
Yep.
I'm like, I don't know about this because it seems kind of like skeevy. I don't know if I want, like, there's nothing sexy about life insurance. Like, who's like, no, I'm a life insurance salesman. Like, but I looked around the room and everyone that's working there, they all had nice watches, they all had nice suits, they all had nice cars. And my first thought was, if these clowns can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like I've
Yeah.
deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've led soldiers in combat. Like I've done all this great
Yeah.
stuff. If
Yeah.
they can do this, I know I can definitely do it, and I can do it probably 10 times harder than they can.
Well,
So,
yeah, and I've had some interesting experiences and run-ins, both good and bad, would make great examples in just the insurance, life insurance,
mm,
property casualty, whatever, just the way things get sold. And it's like, just like some of these guys just need to look at themselves and listen to themselves. It's embarrassing. and just some of the stuff they're saying to people, and that people are actually picking up and listening to. It's just kind of silly. Um,
Oh no,
yeah,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. In
yeah.
fact,
Just be
that's
yourself. Be honest. Be vulnerable. Be human. You're not perfect. Share stories. Know why you're doing stuff. Connect with people at a deep level, and be a resource for them. And then you don't need to close on them and do the tricky, sneaky close or whatever. That's what Painted Baby. That's what this book is all about. I thought sales was all about the tricky, slick close for a long time, and it's not. It's the furthest thing from the truth.
no, it absolutely, and especially in today's day and age, the consumer is a lot smarter than we think. They have so
Mhm.
much. They have
Yep.
so much at their disposal, in terms of
Yeah.
their smartphone right then and there, and they're being inundated with more marketing, with more sales
Yep.
pitches, with more information than ever before, and so the days of coming in and like hoodwinking someone or coming in and trying to
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
high pressure sales them, it's coming to a close. And I can tell
Yeah.
you that when I change, I used to do the same thing. I used to be like when I first started in sales, I used to high pressure sales. Hey, you got to go through 7 no's to get that final yes. And
Oh,
so
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this feels awkward, but okay, I'll do it. And then
Mhm.
eventually what it is like they're just saying yes to get you the hell out of their house.
Yeah, and they're gonna sign the 3-day right of rescission the
Yeah.
minute your ass
And
leaves the
and
door
and
out that
the
back
ones
door.
that didn't charge back, those are the ones that
Mhm.
just forgot about charging, and then they
Yep.
keep it like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
they were too lazy to go through to call up the carrier and sit on hold for an hour and a half just to
yeah.
cancel the policy. That's all it was.
And
And
it's
so
and it's just it's been interesting. I grew up, I was born in '81, so kind of grew up through that '90s into the 2000s, that old school Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, always be closing, boiler room, kind of mentality. And I love the book, The Go Giver. And I love the book High Trust Selling, where it's all just it's about relationships. People will buy from you if they know you, like you, and trust you. And
mhm,
there's this initial level of trust, like, okay, like the guy's not a criminal. I trust him at least enough to come into the next couple of conversations with him. But then when you talk about like really deep trust, that long term, you are their resource for life. They're going to refer you. They're going to call on you when they have a question, and how that insurance ties into like their overall plan. That's a different level, and that takes time. And you can't hoodwink your way to that. You'll get found out pretty
real
quick.
quick.
Yeah.
But that's how you get a sustainable book of business that kind of self feeds itself. Right?
Yeah.
That you have those clients that become raving fans because they
Hmm.
trust you so much that they literally they will refer you to everyone they know. They'll talk about you
Hmm.
because like you're saying, you're a resource. What I tell people is you have to be the guy. For
Hmm.
them, you have to be like the guy they call and ask about anything. And it's like no matter what it
Yeah.
is, you have the answer. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
even if you don't have the answer, like, hey, I'll get you an answer within the next 4 to 6
Yes.
hours.
And another thing that's super important, and I found this in, painting. Painting's a little bit different because you're talking about it's a home service, but in the real estate business that I'm in, what are the other things that real estate touches, right? So when somebody buys a home, they're going to need homeowners insurance.
Mhm.
They're going to need life insurance. They're going to need to look at some other things that directly touch that industry you're in. So obviously become an expert at that industry, and you never answer a question you don't know the answer to, but go learn a little bit about homeowners
Exactly.
insurance and all these other things, so you can say, hey, did you realize that you're trying to get your PITI, your overall principal interest tax insurance payment down, but you just raised your deductible. So do you know what happens when a hail claim hits, or you don't have sewer coverage? Hold on. And they're like, hold on, this realtor is telling me something. When you're a better resource than the other person that should be a resource, that's when hands down, and you don't have money goggles on. We should talk about that. Um, when you can do those two things right there and really mean it, from the bottom of your heart, you're going to win always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always try to tell my agents, you should sell somebody something that doesn't benefit you at all.
Hmm.
If you can like because you genuinely want to help them and be of service,
Yep.
you're going to earn their trust almost immediately when it does when they're like, dude, thank you so much. they're going to want to come to you, and you will become a resource, and it'll be a continuous resource. And then when they're sitting at the dinner table and they're having a conversation with friends, family, whatever, and someone comes up with something, to like, you know what? I got a guy. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
And you're going to be the person they call. And if you can answer that question, or you can provide that service, and it still doesn't benefit you, and it's legitimate, it's great, right? It's undeniably great.
Yeah.
Dude, you've got clients for days. You've got clients for days.
And as we're talking, because I feel like I'm a natural salesperson, and I think you are too, from talking to you for just a couple minutes. But I bet there's people listening to this right now, and they're listening to us talk, and we're saying, oh, when you sell somebody something, I think, there is a personality type where they're averse to sales. It's not part of their vocabulary. They're very possibly jaded or misinformed about what sales is. So, when you and I are sitting here talking about closes and ratios and, all these things, it's like, listen, if you're getting a little pit in the stomach listening to this and you're like, dude, sales is just not my thing. Here's all it is, right? Is you're a human. You have a story. So does this other person. Go meet them, build some rapport, connect with them, truly discover. If you'd like to spend time, I use this test. I do this in real estate. Just let's go have a cup of coffee. Like, do you truly enjoy that person's company, and vice versa? Okay, now to the business. You have something that can make their life better. That's it. It's not a product. It's not a service. You don't need to do features and benefits. You do, but you don't. Strip it all away. You've got something that can make their life better, and you like them. It is a disservice. Like, why would you not make their life better? So the close is, hey, I just want to be a resource for you. If you feel like I can make your life better with this or whatever it is, I'd love to do business with you. That's as simple as it is when you strip it down. And for me, I know that I've seen people that are really opposed to sales really change that perspective. So I just wanted to share that. I hope that helps somebody that's listening, and maybe helps you put it into a different perspective.
I love that concept. And have you ever read Daniel Pink's To Sell Is Human?
No,
Great book. Great book.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and in it, he basically talks about the concept where people come in and be like, oh, I don't like sales. I'm not good at sales.
Yep.
Everybody is good at sales. If you're married, you've sold.
You closed that.
You closed
that, baby.
You closed that, baby.
That was my toughest sale ever, was my wife. I should share that. It was so, I had to do so many different kinds of closes to get her to commit.
You ever got somebody to date
figured
you?
it out.
You closed. You got your mom to let you stay over at your friend's house when you weren't supposed to on school night. You closed. You got your mom to buy you something. You closed. Like we've been closing and selling, and sales is just influence. And I think where people get mistaken on sales is that they mistake influence with manipulation. See, when manipulation, when I get somebody, when I manipulate somebody, I'm getting them to do something that only benefits me.
Yep. It's
when
win-lose.
And when I influence somebody, I'm getting them to do something that's going to benefit them. Now, it may also benefit me mutually, but it will 100% benefit them. And I'm putting them in a better position.
And I'm always really clear.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'm always really clear when I'm in a business engagement. I tell people, they ask me, what is your commission? I got to tell them, like, here's what it is. Like, I'm going to walk away with this much from this real estate transaction, and that feeds me and my family and my business and pays the expenses. And you're going to be doing this, and, not trying to hide that or sugarcoat that.
Yeah.
There might be clients. Well, how much do you make off of this? Well, I'm super transparent. I mean, I don't know.
I'm also transparent. Yeah. I'm also transparent. I tell them, I'm like, hey, the company pays me because the company doesn't do marketing, and that's why they have their plans priced at this, but I have to do the marketing. And so it costs me, in order to sit in front of you, to market, to get to where I'm in front of you. So I have to go in on that, but the company pays me for picking them for business. They pay me out of their own coffers. So it's not you paying me per se, but it's them. And this is what they pay me for this deal.
Yeah. Love it, man.
So I can explain that process a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, absolutely, man. That's what I love talking to people. Like, I'm not good at sales. Everybody's good at sales. I don't care. Like, tell me what job you have. I was talking to this actually with a friend the other day. She's a nurse. And she was like, yeah, I tried insurance, but I wasn't good at sales. I really hate sales. I was like, I guarantee you that you've sold somebody something in the last 24 hours. She was like, I don't have any products to sell. I was like, you're thinking too linear. You're thinking that you had to do a product. Like, I was like, you can like, when's the last time you sat at a restaurant and you're like, man, this restaurant's awesome, right? And it was like
Mhm.
the service was fantastic, and the waiter was awesome, and the food was awesome, and the manager came over and did this, and like this guy came over, the cook came over and started like dropping salt off of his arm and right on
Oh,
my
yeah.
steak. Like it was awesome. And then you go tell your friend, and you're like, dude, you gotta go. You have to go.
Mhm.
This was the best experience. You are selling your friend. I mean, you're also marketing for them, but you're selling your friend on the opportunity because of what it says about you. If they go
Mhm.
and they like it, now you are a resource, right? That makes
Yeah.
you more interesting. So you're selling
Yep.
that opportunity, right? It's just influence. Now you want them to go because it really was a legitimately great dinner and a great experience and the ambiance and all this. But I
Yeah.
say, I guarantee you, you talk me through your 24 hours, last 24 hours, I can show you where you sold somebody something, right?
Oh, yeah. And
Just
then they
do
go,
it.
"Oh, you're right. I did."
And they're like, oh man, yeah, you're right. So I was like, you're thinking about it too much because you're thinking about the money. You're thinking about the
Mhm.
money you're going to make, and you're getting commission breath. And you're like, well,
Yes. Yeah.
and you're trying to force it to make the money. Instead,
Yep.
you need to take the nervousness out of it. And Rory Vaden has a great quote that is, it's hard to be nervous when your heart's on service. When you
Mhm.
care
Mhm.
more about the person in front of you and you want to put them in a good position and you want to serve them, there's no reason to be nervous about the product that you're helping them with.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's the truth. And then you mentioned, commission breath. I call it money goggles. And I think it's across all industries. But
Yeah.
people will see that. People will see that. And I tell, new 'cause you're going to have a new agent or a new listener right now saying, "Well, that's great, Matt with 6 companies and paid all your debt off, but like I gotta eat." And I've been there. Like I had to eat not too long, and I still do. But don't get too tied to the results and the outcomes. Like you want to track your ratios and you want to understand what makes them better. But when you're in that engagement with that person, it's understand who they are, how you can serve them, be a resource. You need to ask for the business, not in a slick, slimy, stupid way, but
Yeah.
just, hey, I just tell people I'd love to earn your business. I would love to be your realtor. You've got a great realtor. You know what? I don't want to steal anybody away, or just let me be a resource if he or she ever can't provide, or you just need another opinion. I'll just be here in second place, and that's totally cool. I'll be the backup.
Mm.
Stuff like that, because you'll hear that when you're new to the business too. I got so frustrated. I thought all these people love, jujitsu. Professor Matt on the jujitsu mats. Of course, they'd hire me to do their real estate. No, they've got a deep, long-term relationship with a great agent, and I have their trust and their acknowledgement in one space, but not another. So don't get too hurt about it, right? Because you're gonna have that. I'm sure insurance is the same.
Oh yeah.
Um, as I'm thinking of my first 36 months in real estate, I'd come home just, oh my gosh, they don't. Why don't they want to? Just keep going, just keep driving.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't, don't focus on the end state, focus on the activity.
Mhm.
Focus on what you're
Yes,
doing, focus on how you can improve.
yes.
Focus in the conversation. I found more when I started. So I was I was in the home, right? And it's a different aspect when you're in the home than when you switch to remote sales when
Mhm.
COVID happened, right? So I did
Yeah.
everything remotely, and there was a lot of people still trying to go home, and I was like, dude, I'm just going to go remote, and I'm going to teach myself, and I'm just going to laser focus on this. I'm going to teach myself this. I'm
Mhm.
committed, right? I'm burning my ships. So I had a lot of challenges with that. And so
Mhm.
what I did is I started recording all of my appointments, and I started going back
Okay.
and watching them and listening. And over time, I started to notice little clues of verbally of what was happening when I would say something, and then I would see the shift. And I started to notice that
Mhm.
shift even easier. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
saying this and it's too pushy, or
Yes.
I'm being too aggressive, or
Mhm.
I'm talking too much. I'm not
Yeah.
understanding their situation. Like I tried to pitch them
Mhm.
and I didn't even know what their problem was.
There's that. Then there's also, sometimes we don't talk about this, is they were giving me buying signals and they were ready to go,
Yeah,
and you didn't see that, and you just kept talking, and then you lost the deal. So there's that.
exactly.
It's like I pushed them away, and like they were ready, like, here with, here's my money. Like, I'm ready to do this. I trust you. Let's go. And then you want to tell them another story
Yeah,
or
and you just
whatever. Yeah.
keep talking. They're like, "Hey, I gotta go, man."
Yeah.
Hey, man,
I've yeah.
no, you're
Yeah. It's
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So
it,
when you start to analyze your appointments like that, and you go over them, even in your mind, or if you're like with me with remote sales, and you're going over your recordings, and you really start to analyze, you'll be able to see the not only those shifts, but the good shifts too. Because sometimes people will come on, they'll be
Yes.
really closed off and hesitant. And then maybe
Mhm.
you'll say something, you'll do something, and you'll see them just open up and release and relax. And they'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, and you're like, well, why did that happen? Right. And you'll go back and
Yeah.
look at what you said. And it may be something you said, and maybe your demeanor,
Mhm.
right? And then you start
Mhm.
to just emulate those things to amplify them, all the good things,
Yeah.
and you start to find the negative things that you're doing, and you start to remove that, and you can hone your sales process, which
Mhm.
this is just like you're saying, focus on the activity. And what you're
Yeah.
going to do is you're going to track those metrics to see what the end state is, and you'll see how it plays into the end state. So as you tweak and test these methods and you start to play with things, you see a bump in your closing
Yeah.
ratios. What happens is,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to put on the gas on this one. I'm cranking down. I'm going to see just how high
Yeah.
I can get this, right?
Yeah. And then you go all in. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And those these so when it comes to sales, I mean, that's that kind of the science of it, of the when you kind of blend the art and the science of this,
Mhm.
that's the science of it that a lot of
Yeah.
people just neglect is tracking those metrics. And I talk to agents
Yeah.
all the time. You have to know your numbers, not because you need to know like this how much I'm making, but you need to know every piece, almost like it's a
Mhm.
funnel, so you can know
Yeah.
where to tweak.
And there's different components of that journey right through, and then there's certain places where you can adjust it. You can't just say, "Oh, I suck at sales." Well,
Yeah,
where? Or you can't just say, "I'm fat."
yeah,
Well, how much overweight are you? Okay, 40 pounds. What does that look like? What are you doing? How did it get you there? How can you adjust it? Now go measure. Now come back and then celebrate along the way. That's another thing I think for I'm
yeah,
I'm a high driving type A, seems like you are too. And but we just being American, right? It's here's the goal. And you have this perfection culture where everybody paints a picture of perfection and they're posting their best proudest moments and achievements, so everybody feels behind, like they've got catch up to do because they're comparing themselves to other people, when you should be comparing yourself to yourself. And you don't stop and celebrate. I'm still, I just launched my book, and this thing was amazing how it came together, just so cool how it came together. And 3 days later I'm starting the next book, and somebody's like, "Whoa, don't you want to just chill and sit there and celebrate that?" And I had to just take a little bit of time to really do that, be conscious of that. So give yourself a pat on the back.
How did you side question,
Yeah.
did you self-publish that?
It's an interesting model. So the short answer is yes, but I worked with a company, Scribe, and they're going to be housed under it's Lioncrest Publishing. So it's a pay for service publishing company, but then I keep all the rights and royalties and everything. Had total creative control. Kind of the other end of the spectrum is you write a manuscript and you go take it around to a bunch of publishers, and then somebody picks it up, and then they kind of tell you what they're going to do with it, and
Mm,
then they take most of the money and the rights, and tell you that they're going to push it out there and market it for you, when that's really not the case. Like, writing a book's hard. Like, it was difficult. It was a very difficult process, but that's the easy part of the process and formula, because then you have to go out and sell the book.
yeah.
And that doesn't just happen. It's not, if you write it they will buy. I thought so when I wrote my first one, and I was very quickly disappointed disappointed, because that's not how it is. You got to go out and hustle it.
Yeah. So I wrote my first book, and
Nice.
I'm on the publishing side right now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm like, do I self-publish? Do I do one of those done for you services? Do I want to get a
Yeah.
publishing deal? Do I even know? And so
There's so many ways, yeah. And I mean, I think the old school traditional model is write the manuscript, shop the manuscript, and then this whole, print on demand, right? POD, for profit, all that, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when I wrote Become an Award-Winning Company. I mean, if you just look at the difference, right? Just paperback, kind of okay designed and laid out, versus, a really nice hardcover, like really, really well done book. You kind of get what you pay for.
yeah,
And there's no answer. It depends why you want to have the book. Some people want it as a business card and a lead magnet and an authority building tool within their industry. I look at it as, I'm an author, and I identify as an author, and I really want to get out into that space and serve business owners and build up business owners. And yeah, there's not a right or wrong way to do it. However you do it, you got to go sell it.
yeah.
Got to get it out there. Yeah.
It's true. I love it, man. I love it. So we talked a lot about sales. This conversation's got all over
We
the place,
did.
and I really I do enjoy that. Um, what are some tips or strategies that you can provide to the audience as somebody that's started at basically at zero, and then scaled one company all the way into
Mhm.
6 companies, author, everything that
Yep.
you're doing, for those people that are basically at the 0 mark? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
what are some kind of like fundamental laws
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
would that you'd operate by?
So first is, first, like, I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Like, you made a step to quit a job or a place of employment where you're relying on somebody else, and now you have to rely on yourself. The first tip is maybe one that many wouldn't expect to hear is your business will only grow to the degree that you do. So really explore why you're doing what you're doing. Really explore your story, really explore some empowering beliefs that you carry and how they're going to drive you forward, and maybe some disempowering beliefs that drove you forward. So I'll use an example as you were, if you're working for the boss and, oh, the man's always going to screw you and he's out to get me. And no matter how hard you work, you're going to get screwed. So screw him. I'm going to go start my own business. Well, guess what? If you just talked like that for the last 25 years, guess what's going to happen when you go out into business? You're going to go out and not get a deal because my competition said something bad about me, and everybody's going to screw you in business. You run a betrayal program. It was very clear by your language. So be very conscious and careful of your language and your belief systems. And if you need to make adjustments to those, really make adjustments to those, because it's not going to play out any different just because you work for yourself. It's actually going to
Yeah, I think amplify.
show more. Yeah, amplify. So really just get clear on who you are and just some of the shit you need to sift through. I don't know how else to say it. But I didn't do that for a long time, and it blew my business up and it really tore it apart. Start with one thing at a time and remember that you just have the day. And people talk about the 3 5 year vision, the BHAGs, all of these things. That's cool. But like, what do you need to do just today? What is that one thing that if you do it today, it will drive you one step further? It's very overwhelming when you start a business, right? Or you jump into the insurance, the real estate world. Just focus on that one thing. Another tip is when break business down into 4 categories, it's ACDC, if you can remember the band. So it's attract, convert, deliver, collect. So those are the 4 things you need to be doing in business. So find one way where you can be you, 100% you. You're not putting on a gimmick or anything like that, and go meet and connect with people
Mm.
and get an opportunity to present what you have to make their life better, to sell to them, right? And then once you get that, you have to deliver it and then get paid for it. And don't get too distracted by all the different methods and medias and ways that you can market yourself. If you're um, in real estate, I use an example. If you're an open house person, go do a million open houses and get really good at those and test and measure. Find that one thing that produces the lead flow coming in. Um, and don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare your journey to your journey. Look back to yesterday and make sure you're better today than you were yesterday, and focus on being better tomorrow than you are today. And remember that, like everything out on social media, 95% of it is it's the painting a picture of perfection. Don't get too tied up on that. Go to my Instagram, right? I have I feel like some great content that I post every morning, but I'm not posting my bad down and out days and everything like that. Everybody has them. So be okay being vulnerable and truthful to a very deep degree with the people that you serve. Just let them know who you are.
Yeah. I love that. That final point. It's funny you mentioned that because on my Instagram today I posted, um so I'm divorced. I have 4 kids,
Uh-huh.
and so
Okay.
I have a good relationship with my ex-wife. I go visit. They live in Florida because she's married to a service member, and
Hmm.
he's stationed there. And so, when I go visit, I stay with them. I stay at the house with them, and then
Uh-huh.
when they
Yep.
come with the kids, they stay at my house with me. So,
Yeah.
um, every single time that I leave after a visit with the kids, it's very emotionally draining. It's
Hmm.
kind of makes me lonely, and to be honest, I get a little depressed. And,
Yep.
so I flew back in late yesterday, and I got back to my
Hmm.
house by 8 o'clock, and I was just like, man, I'm just kind of like emotionally drained, and I know like the house is empty and dark, and I'm just like, I just had a fun filled weekend with the kids and the constant
Yep.
screaming and playing and everything. And I woke up this morning, and dude, I did not want to do shit. I didn't want to
Hmm.
I didn't want to get
Hmm.
up. I didn't want to
Yep.
go to the gym. I didn't want to do
Yep.
podcasts. I was like, dude, I got like 6 podcast recordings today. I don't want to do any of this.
Not today.
Not today.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so I forced myself to do my morning routine that I have. I get
Yes.
up, I do prayer, I do some affirmations, I meditate,
Hmm.
I drink some water, I drink like a shit ton of water, take my pre-workout, go to the gym, knock it out,
Hmm.
come back, shower, change everything. So I literally sat in the gym parking lot for like 10 minutes. Like I do not want to walk in there and do the workout today. Like I don't want
Hmm.
to do it. But after I got done doing it,
Yeah.
I feel great. Right. And like it
Hmm.
like reset everything. It's like
Hmm.
recalibrating. Right. But dude, I have difficult days. I work out twice a day, every single day. Like
Hmm.
I have a very disciplined regimen that I follow. And
Yeah.
I have a diet that I follow, a very disciplined diet. And I have daily tasks. I love like, hey, focus on the day. I tell people all the time, it's like having it every day is a test day. Pass the test
Yeah.
just today. Just pass the test.
Yep.
And I literally posted my social media. I told people, I was like, hey, look, I took a picture of me in the gym. I do a daily pictures, be like, hey, I did my workout today, did my
Yep.
story. And I was like, hey, today was fucking hard. Like I
Oh
just
yeah.
got I just got my trip with my kids. Like I did not want to go to the gym today. So
Yeah.
what? I like you got it. Everybody has down days. The people that are winning are showing up and still doing the work when they really don't fucking want to be honest.
Yeah, and those little decisions, you make a lot of those little decisions. The people that aren't, they pull in for 10 minutes and then they turn around and they go home, and then that turns into don't leave the house and stay in bed. And yeah, no, and I have them. Everybody has them, and I think what was really cool about what you just shared is what the trigger is, what the experience leading up to that is that's going to make you depressed. It's going to make you feel like shit. It's going to make you not want to go out and do these things that you need to do. And I think I see kind of two kinds of entrepreneurs, or just people in general. Forget business for a second. Men, women in general. It's like they don't even know what the trigger is. They just find themselves in this spiral.
Yeah.
But when you know, then you can at least not fully prepare, but at least like you're getting ready to go into that battle. So you've
Yeah.
you've got to armor up, you've got to prepare more. I know what those things are for me that will pull me off certain times a year and things, certain events. So yeah, get clear on that. And that's all part of that, just exploring your story and then being brave and vulnerable enough. Like, thank you for sharing that. Like, to be brave and vulnerable enough to share that with people, that what you just did is going to give somebody else the space and place to do that in their business and their life. And they reciprocate that with you, and then all of a sudden you've got a different level of relationship with that person. You're now a different kind of trusted advisor that goes beyond business too. So
Yeah. Oh,
that's
absolutely.
huge. Yeah.
And dude, vulnerability is a superpower
Hmm. Hmm.
because it makes you
Well,
relatable. It makes you relatable
yeah.
to a sense, to where people are like, "Oh man, you're doing all this, and you have the same troubles and, and problems that I
Yeah.
have." It's like, dude, yeah, I'm human.
Well, and as men, I go on some of these men podcasts that are built for men, and it's talking about relationships and just going through your stuff, and I just think in the culture we can't show that. We can't show weakness. We can't show vulnerability. The culture does a great job of conditioning people with what they think they need to believe and how they need to show up. And it's just not true. I mean, the quick premise on this is I'm about to close the biggest business deal of my life back in 2011, and I'm sitting across from the table, repeat customer. I mean, it's a deal 20 times the size of my normal contract, and I'm showing them the A+ 5-star shiny marketing brochure, trying all the different kinds of closes. And he like picks my brochure up and throws it across the room. He said, "This thing's bullshit. You know it. I want to know about a time that you screwed up and what you did about it." And nobody had ever asked me that. So I proceed to tell him these moments within business where, we've painted the wrong color on a house. We actually painted the right color. It was the wrong house. And then we had a paint sprayer blow up on a job site, painted a customer's baby, almost killed a baby. And I couldn't believe that I'm telling a client in a sales situation this. And he's, leaning in, and he stuck his hand out, said, "You're the kind of guy I want to do business with." And I closed the biggest deal of my life by sharing one of my biggest screw ups. And that totally short circuited me, because it goes against everything that we're taught in sales and everything that we're conditioned to see and believe in life. So yeah, Paint a Baby was just about this journey of what I did after that and how I came up with a process to show other people how to do that and just dig deep into their story. Like, your story matters. You need to go tell it. and you need to share the ugly parts of it. That's where you truly and deeply connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I
Yeah.
love this. This is
Thanks
great.
for letting me share all this,
Dude,
man.
we
This has
we could,
been
I guess I
we
feel like
killed it.
we could
Yeah.
just talk for like hours, bro.
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll go as long as we need. Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to respect your time, and I got like 2 more podcasts to record today. So.
Get a bunch. Yeah. Well, I hope this serves your listeners. Like, I really want your listeners to know, like, listening to this stuff and filling your brain and the space that you have in your day and your calendar, stuff like this. There's so many resources out there.
Yeah,
Just keep after it, and fire negative people from your life. I just feel like I have to share that before I go. The people that are bringing you down, that don't believe in you, that don't support you, whether it's directly, indirectly, quietly, loudly, however you need to do it. Um, be very careful about who you let into that space and that circle that gets in here.
absolutely. Because you
Yeah.
do have to protect that.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yep.
Matt, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing and just having a conversation. This is great, brother.
Good to
Last
hang with you,
question.
man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, bro. Last question I always ask all my guests.
Yeah.
You can break bread with, learn from, and just have experience, and just shoot the shit with 3 people, anyone in history, anyone. Who would that be?
Jesus, I would love to do that.
Yeah,
I would love to shoot the shit with Tony Robbins.
that's a good one. Yeah,
Just love him. Man, a third one. There's just so many. I can't think of a third one right now. You kind of got me on the spot. Who are your 3?
my 3.
Because I'm still
So
thinking of mine.
Abraham
Yeah.
Lincoln. I think he's one of the
Okay.
greatest presidents of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Frisella. I friggin' love that dude. Like, that guy's my spirit
Yep.
animal.
Yep.
Everything, like, ever since I started listening to podcasts, and also 75 Hard changed my life. 75 Hard completely changed my life. It
Yeah.
made me a different man, different human being. And then my third used to be Martin Luther King, but
Yeah.
not that I mean, I think so. Martin Luther King is interesting to me because he started a movement, and when they went to Washington and he gave his famous speech, tens of thousands of people from across the nation showed up at the right place at the right
Mhm.
time, with no social media, with no marketing, all by word of mouth. That is marketing genius, because it has to do with it had to do with their why. It had to do with, like,
Yes.
and everyone that heard that message, that why resonated so powerfully with them and became their why as well. It was their why, and so they identify with it, and they were willing to go travel. So you got all these people to converge on this one point in time. And don't get me wrong, I love the message as well. Like, in that is
Yeah.
judging people by the content of their character, not by the color of
Mhm.
their skin. But that right there is marketing genius, all by word of mouth.
Mhm.
But I really
Yeah.
like Alex. Like, lately, I've been on an Alex Hormozy kick. I think that guy's genius.
He is. No, I like his stuff. Yeah. No, he pops up on my feed a lot, and he's done some
He has
awesome
a way
stuff.
of
Yeah.
explaining things that is just
Mhm.
he simplifies it, but he still sounds brilliant. And I'm like, dude, I
Mhm.
never thought about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. As I'm thinking, because I'm thinking, like, who are all these big names in history, and I start thinking back to World War II and what we stepped into, and I'm like, who are some of the great leaders from World War II? And I'm just like, think of one of just the soldiers that jumped out of one of those boats to storm the beaches.
yeah,
Like, what was going through your mind, or any service member that steps into that. I'm a big supporter of law enforcement and the military. Thank you for serving. And I've never been in that position where you're going and putting your life on the line and somebody's trying to kill you.
mhm,
So we talk about business adversity. Like, give me a break. Like, it's numbers on a P&L. It's electronic monopoly. Like, you're supporting your family. I'm not discounting it, but you're standing in front of something where somebody's going to try to take your life. Like, and what do you do? What's going through your mind? How do you overcome that kind of adversity? I'd love to shoot the shit with somebody about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a good one. So,
Yeah. Appreciate
Matt,
you, man.
thank you so
Thanks,
much,
dude.
brother. I appreciate it. For everyone watching, this has been a fantastic episode. This is full of value. Make sure that you go back and rewatch it and listen to some of the things that Matt shared, because this is going to be a lot of these sales tactics are going to be able to take you from the beginning all the way through to an advanced level salesperson. If you did get any value, if you learned anything, if you grew, if it changed your perspective, if it entertained you in any way, then do me a favor. I'd like you to share this content, because we grow by word of mouth. We grow through you. So you could help grow this show and also give this value to somebody else that could also learn from it, that could also grow from it. It would mean the world to us. It'd take you about 60 seconds to rate, review, subscribe, and share. But we're eternally grateful for it and appreciate everything that you do. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. I'm your host, Greg Birch. Until next time, deuces. We'll see you.